Bruchim habaim. Welcome, welcome to Sweet Beginnings. Wishing us all sweet beginnings. My name is Deena Levenstein, and can I hear a woo for me? Thank you. And I organize this event, and I'm your hostess tonight, so if you need anything, you can come to me or to any of the wonderful, wonderful staff of Tmol Shilshom. I think we're going to just jump right into things, but basically this is my second reading event at Tmol Shilshom. My first one was in February on the topic of love and lack thereof. And it was wonderful, and it wasn't depressing, even though it could have been. And I'm really excited to have my second event here. I knew that after everything that we went through over the summer, that I needed my next event to be just really, really sweet, really nice, pleasant, happy. Like forget the complexity. I just needed to be really nice, and so we chose the topic, Sweet Beginnings. I've given out the program to you guys. I have extras, or maybe I'll walk around once we begin. But basically, the way that my reading events work is that you have the program in front of you, and things just flow through the program. I don't have to get up in between each reader because you've got the program in front of you. The readers, of course, are welcome to introduce themselves and say, a short thing about what they do. But basically, you're just going to hear the readings. The one change that I made this time, as opposed to my last events, is that I put breaks in between. The reason being that I think it's nice for you to have some time to digest what you're hearing, schmooze a little bit with the people around you. So, without further ado, we will begin. Miriam.
Just like this?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Hello everyone, my name is Miriam Drori. I've been here in Israel for a long time, but working in computers and stuff, but now I write instead. My first novel was published 3 months ago, and I'm going to read the beginning of it. By the way, I've given out bookmarks. If anyone didn't get one, there were plenty more. Okay. Esther's insides turned somersaults as she crossed the familiar street, stepping on the lines of the light railway. In one sense, nothing had changed. Walking along Jaffa Road to the main post office was something she'd done many times. Her clothes, skirts well below the knees, sleeves that covered her elbows, black tights, were the ones she was used to. Her handbag, the one she usually carried. And yet, in her mind, Esty knew that today couldn't be more different. The first day of a completely different life. Her handbag might look the same as usual to any observer, but she knew it contained documents she would need on the other side. In her purse was all the money she'd managed to put together without making anyone suspicious. She was about to be a different person, the person she'd long felt she should have been. But she wasn't there yet. Now she was in limbo, neither here nor there. At the entrance to the post office, Esty opened her bag for the security guard and felt a sudden shockwave pass through her. Would he wonder why she was carrying all those documents? A moment later, she reproached herself. Idiot. He's not looking for documents. Esty passed through the metal detector and retrieved her bag. So far, so good. Now what? To the right was a shop selling a stationery, mobile phones and stamp albums. She remembered as a child being fascinated by the exotic stamps, knowing she could look but never buy. To the left was a large room with counters along one wall and a row of seats, many of them occupied. She didn't want to ask questions, to have people remember her if they came looking for her. Would they do that? She wasn't sure. Best to avoid people who worked here if possible. She walked across the large hall, doing her best to keep her eyes averted from all the people. At the end of the room, she passed through an open doorway and saw what she wanted, a row of telephones in a deserted corridor. But how did you use these phones? The picture seemed to show inserting a card. What sort of card? A credit card? Whatever it was, Esty didn't have one. How could she find out what to do? Back in the main hall, people were sitting clutching tickets and waiting for their number to be called. Esty had seen this before. At the healthcare clinic, for instance. Did you have to take a ticket from the machine and wait just to ask her silly question? She glanced at the people sitting there. Some of them were like her, or rather, like she had been. What if one of them recognised her and started talking to her? That would be awful. And how is she going to manage now? How is she going to solve the phone problem? She blinked a tear away. The young man, where had he come from? He'd asked her something. What was it? Was she all right? Yes, that is... She wouldn't have pursued it. But there was something about his face. It showed kindness and worry. Worry about her. Even though he wasn't one of her people, her former people. Do you know how these phones work? How you pay for the call? She gestured to the corridor, and he went back there with her and examined one of the phones. I think you need a phone card. You can probably buy it at one of the counters. Despite all her anxieties, Esty noticed the foreign accent in his Hebrew speech. He sounded like a native English speaker, but not American, possibly English. She recognised the almost non-existent R sound, as opposed to the American nasal one and the Israeli one rolled at the back of the throat. And she noticed his voice, so pleasant sounding and gentle. Such concern in those deep brown eyes. Thank you.
My name's Levenstein. Looking back on school year beginnings. One of my earliest memories from my school year is standing at the door of my kindergarten, bawling my eyes out and having death thoughts. Why am I here? What is the point of living if even my own mother abandons me in this place every day? If I die, will anyone even notice? A wonderful memory. But of course, after I calmed down, being the 5-year-old that I was, I went to join the circle as if I hadn't just spent the last 20 minutes flooding the doorway. My second memory from kindergarten is of a boy whose name I don't remember, scaring the life out of me when he shook the rope I was climbing. Afterwards, my teacher saw me crying and asked what happened. By the time we were in the circle, it seemed the boy regretted his actions because he sat behind me, playing with my hair and swearing his undying love to me. Or more accurately in his words, "I'm sorry for what I did, you can do whatever you want to me." Don't worry, I never took him up on his offer. A word about how I decided what grade school to go to. In the interview for grade 1, I was so shy that I wouldn't get off my dad's lap. The principal said I had to in order to be tested, which made me feel embarrassed. But I did, and I went through the testing. At the end, as we were leaving, the principal gave me a pekalach of candy. Then and there, I decided that that wasn't so bad, and then that was the school where I wanted to spend the rest of my life. And so before I knew it, kindergarten was over, and it was the first day of grade 1. I sat next to a girl named Shira, but we would call her Sarah to preserve her privacy. You know, me and Sarah, didn't quite hit it off on the first day. But that is not the memory I want to tell you about. The most influential thing that happened to me that day was finding the coolest box of crayons on our desk from the teacher. Now that was a sweet beginning. I also remember really liking my homeroom teacher, who was all first grade teachers seem to do, no really, left after a month or so to give birth and never really came back to teach us again. Let's skip 2 years. It is now the first day of grade 3. Considering the fact that I lived less than 15 minutes away from the school, I think anyone will understand why I was late every day by at least 20 minutes. So of course I walked in late on the first day of school too, and there was only 1 seat left. 5 years later, and I'm still best friends with the girl I sat next to on that first day. Let's skip another 4 years, grade 6, the year of parties and pressure. I remember it as an amazing year. That was the year most of my friends had their bat mitzvahs and I had mine, pay attention, together with my niece. Yes, my niece, who just so happens to be conveniently 4 months younger than me. Of course there was also the pressure, specifically the pressure to go into the school of your choice. We also had an end of the year show, which I couldn't get a speaking part in because of my accent in Hebrew, ended up getting stuck in some dance, but I still had a ball with my friends. Now let's skip another 2 years to the present. I am 14 years old and I have just started grade 9. I'm in an amazing high school and I totally feel surrounded by friends and family. The truth is, as you can see, not every school year has had a sweet beginning, but each one has had its sweet moments between the not so sweet stuff, and every beginning has led me to the next beginning. Before I finish, I'd like to thank my sister Deena for having me read at this event, and I'd also like to thank the owner of this restaurant, whose name I keep forgetting, for hosting this event, and you guys for being an audience. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna have a break now so you guys can schmooze and you can go to the bathroom and you can order things. Just for those of you who have come in recently, the punch is offered at a discounted price. Oh, it's almost out. Well, good I got.
There's one left if anyone.
There's one left.
You? Okay.
Never mind. Well, it was really good. I can tell you all about it.
Okay, you got it.
Could be nice.
I will. Hi, I'm Michael Dickel. I want to introduce myself as the new chair of the Israel Association of Writers in English, which is the Federation for English Writers in Israel. The new secretary is going to read after me. I'll let her introduce herself. We're both reading tonight. I would say that if you have a book out in English or books worth of publications, please talk to Raquel or me about the Israel Association of Writers in English and about joining. Dues are low. All right, I'm going to read My Sweet Beginning of the Universe. This is a how-to poem. It's actually based, there's a YouTube that went viral. It's a beautiful YouTube that went viral of a mathematical modeling of the beginning of the universe. And it's an incredible visual scenery. And I don't know that I captured the visual scenery, but I did my thing. How to create a universe. If an all-encompassing deity, withdraw a bit to make room, then emanate. Skip next stanza. If a random event in time and space explode into existence, then expel. Go to next stanza. Strings of dark matter, like tree branches, massive cracks, or neurons. Dark energy, unseen light, circulating like spring sap, or dripping like juice from a shattered cup, or leaking like psychotic neurons. Past history, or the neurons stretched beyond webs. Then, along these lines, ignite sparks, fireworks, and lightning, where energy dances out to mass and matter, exceeds all expectations, while spiraling glimmers, which we will call stars in a dark night, which we will call space, when we come to call anything something somewhere on our bit of blue-green dust, thus dreamt, all formed like synaptic tendrils that fire thoughts and mix metaphors along a tree of cracks on a cosmic scale, whether of justice or probability may never be revealed, or at least not until the last thought, arriving at an imagined universe theoretically consistent with itself. So if you want to make a universe, that's how you do it.
In Delhi, mountains rise right out of the road. Blue-green dowagers, thick with oyster mushroom clouds, that climb and puff around them like ermine coats. Along the side of the road, the river aqueducts down through town, a sunny sound that echoes the voices that buzz and snap like dragonflies. Ah, China, where I am alone, always in a crowd, my round eyes, my white skin hold me in the public eye. An old woman waves me over, speaks quickly. Her mouth opens and closes over yellow teeth. Her face, a lit candle that has sat by the bedside through a lifetime of days, the rising and the sleeping, the laundry, the meals, the making and raising of children. When she reaches up to me, I must bend down to her hands, which she places on my head like a rabbi, bestowing a blessing. Then she touches her own head, the lavender kerchief that covers her white hair, that fluffs out the sides, so like the dark blue kerchief that covers my own dark hair. She gestures and laughs, and I understand and reach my hands to touch her delicate head, and then touch my own. And though I cannot explain to her why I wear a kerchief, my hair always covered, a sign of my marriage and my place in the world, we hold each other's heads, look into each other's eyes, and giggle. I bend, put my arms around her bantam frame, pull her against me, the smell of her sweat, a living thing, the heat of her life against my face. Night, I whisper in her ear. She holds me away, her hands on my cheeks, her eyes dark as a good joke, tell me all I need to know. That being a woman is a fine thing, that my life will stretch out like the road in Dolly, that water will spill down, green things will grow, that I too will know comfort wrapped in a coat of clouds. My name is Heimowitz, and as Michael said, I'm the secretary of the Association of English Writers, and I'm a poet, and that's pretty much all that I do. And I have one more poem for you. There is a poet in the United States by the name of Christian Wyman, who was the editor of Poetry Magazine for the last decade, and he wrote. He grew up in a very, very active Christian house, and he wrote a book about God recently that came out called The Bright Abyss. And since when Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to see God didn't come in a bright abyss, so I wrote a poem back to Christian. A dark chasm, not a bright abyss. Show me now your way that I can know you. Exodus 33:13. For you, I will draw myself on your face, whisper my own name straight into the worlds of your ear. Teach you the delicacy of each created thing, crack open the seed, set the squirrel's beating heart in the palm of your hand. So wrap yourself in your fringes, strap your faith to your right hand, whisper the 13 ways I will always forgive you, slowly, out loud, because no man can see me and live. So if you must see me, there is a rock you can stand on, the stone from which you were formed, sand-colored and flat. Balance yourself there, and I will move over you like your mother's hand moved over your infant body. Rest above you like an umbrella, shield you from the naked sun. I will score the rock into the socket of an eye and place you gently there inside. And you will know me as the unmistakable shadow of a dear friend you recognize from behind. Thank you very much.
And I have another poem.
between mouthfuls of ketchup held together with just enough pasta. Ima, you say, does Hashem have cheeks? I tell you that Hashem doesn't have a body like a person, but Ima, you say, and your face begins to stretch like a comic book question mark, but Ima then, where does Hashem get kisses? I want to walk through your spaghetti sidewalk, Chalk, and I know that I wonder what makes your earth thunder, what moves when your shoes feel the ground collapsing under your feet. I want to wrap a cast around your broken soul, and I will sign it with God's name. I want to write love letters on the insides of your eyelids so you can see them when you sleep. It's not the way the horizon bends or the fairy tale ends, because it wasn't that long ago that I watched your pulse on the monitor, as if life were a skyline, as if death were a pause and happiness were both. I hope you understand that your soul is sometimes a piggy bank and sometimes a wishing well, but that's only my 2 cents. And I hope you refuse to believe the tattoos etched in the outstretched hand that turns you down, like sheets on a bed, like the wavy way the world liquefies above summer Nevada pavement, or through eyes quivering with tears, or the kitchen backsplash of Sunday morning pancakes, through confetti sunshine and tetherball dreams, the kind of thing that you think you're pushing away, but end up coming back just to hit you in the nose. May you never cash in your passions for the mainstreams, they all lead to the oceans anyway. And remember what Goya said, that the sleep of reason creates monsters. May your dreams always conjure up beautiful monsters. Ima, you say, if Hashem doesn't have cheeks, then where does Hashem get kisses? I lean in and kiss your cheek. There's a smear of ketchup there, or maybe it's God, but most likely, it's both.
We're going to take another break. We'll be back in 10 minutes.
Are you doing something?
Yeah, I think I'm the first one up after.
I'm Effie King. For probably all my life, a writer by heart and by passion, and worked and taught for 17 years as a technical writer, and now I'm a real estate broker again. A lot of things are in cycles and repeat themselves, including my coming here again to Tmol Shilshom after 10 years. Rain, renew. Alechet. Autumn, leaves behind the summer despair. New year, hope to return to what once was. Shorter days, colder nights, cool head in an igloo, warm your feet, remember yesterday and the day before. Spring, fall down the ladder, lose memories, Summer. Underground. Lose loved ones. How long? Rain. Autumn provides a fleeting moment before the shorter days. Cold nights. Life again to grow. Love to renew. Yesterday and the day before brought us to remember. Today, tomorrow, here. Rain, renew, re-begin.
Okay, it's my turn. Look at that. The world was created for me. Hi, Mom. Maybe you want to leave for this. No, I'm kidding. It was just me and my parents home for Shabbat. On the brink of adulthood, I was absolutely unsure about the next steps in my life. But at Shabbat, I was home. And since my mother had decided to tell each of us in person, it seemed like the perfect opportunity, to my mother that is, to tell me that she was pregnant. Oh my effing God. I was imminently turning 20, and my mother was pregnant of all things. I was alone. None of my other 4 siblings, the people who were ultimately about to go through this with me, were around. I shuddered, I shook. I hid my reactions and nonchalantly said that I was going out for a walk. I paced the Katamon streets, struck and angry. A few weeks later, in Toronto, my brother stepped out of a moving car upon receiving the same news. Comrade. A few months later, Shabbat began. This time with my mother in the hospital, hopefully in the process of giving birth. And a few of us at the Shabbat table thinking of nothing but. We had a quick meal, I couldn't eat, and I ran down the hill to the hospital to get the news. My father told me I had a new sister, a little, yet very real person in my life, a person who I loved before I even met her. I went into the labor room and quickly met the tiny little thing. I then went out to the hallway, sat on a cold metal bench, bent over and wept. And wept and wept, until one man walking by reminded me that this was indeed a joyous occasion. Silly man, I thought. Does he not know that one can weep and weep and weep from joy? Shouldn't look at my mother while I'm reading this. 8 years later, I had broken up with my boyfriend. I was now very alone in Vancouver. I worked in a job that spit me out after 4 days. I'd miscalculated and overspent during my move to an apartment with a higher rent. My God, good God, what was I going to do? I knew I needed income immediately in order to keep afloat. And so, in this state of urgency, I searched. Although I wanted a job in the Jewish community, I even looked in Craigslist. Very quickly, I found a position in the community posted there. But with old people, I simply couldn't work with old people. I thought, it will bring me down, even more down than I already am. But I went for the damn interview. I begrudgingly went and begrudgingly put on my best face. During it, on the other side of the room, I could see the elderly people sitting around a table for their morning activities. One man, who I later learned was named Sam, sat slumped over in a wheelchair. The entire sight broke my heart. Just seeing the elderly people from afar made me sad. I got the job. And I accepted it too, because I needed to. But it seemed like such a bad fit that I felt like I was misleading my new employers. I really did not see myself lasting there for more than a short while. But what could I do? I was being dragged along for the ride we call life, and I didn't have much choice. I hesitantly arrived to my first days. I smiled at the clients, who almost always smiled back. I made conversation, and they were happy to talk. I ran programs for them about the Jewish holidays and Jewish history, and they loved it all. The ones that stayed awake, that is. And we had a musical Kabbalat Shabbat together every Friday. I played the few chords I know on guitar, and we all sang together. The men with synthetic tiki kippas, the women with doilies, all of us smiling at each other. The opposite of my fears had come true. I noticed that no matter my mood in the morning, which was often down, it was raised by the people I so dreaded from afar. They'd stopped being old people and instead became just people. Some became acquaintances, some became friends, and some became very good friends. The fact that the two people I became closest with, Cecil and Yvette, have since passed away does not exactly matter. What matters is that Cecil, a Jamaican Jew, would have swept me off my feet and never let me go if he had been around half a decade younger, so he said. What matters is that whenever I was talking about Jewish history, I knew I could look over at him and find him listening intently and laughing in all the right places. What matters is that I had a kinship with Yvette. A French Holocaust survivor with a similar demeanor to mine, I like to believe. What matters is that after moving back to Jerusalem, we would send each other voice recordings, which I adored receiving. Okay, I'm going to try my French accent. Allo, Deena? I hope you are well. Have you found a husband yet? Don't worry, things are not how they used to be. What matters is that I was able to offer her my love during the terribly painful end of her life. What matters is that I know she loved me and I still love her. My desperate situation forced me to make a desperate choice, leading me to a year of meaningful memories that I cherish. It is said that Reb Simcha Bunam carried 2 slips of paper. One pocket had a note that said, Bishvili nivra ha'olam. For my sake the world was created. The other pocket had a note that read, Vanochi afar va'efel. I am but dust and ashes. In these stories and many others in my life, I have felt like things are happening despite me, and all I can do is react. I have often felt like afar ve'efel. But now I wonder, am I dust? Or in fact, is the world not being constantly created for me, especially for me? And in that case, what is a sweet beginning? What really are beginnings? And what might make them sweet? I'll tell you what a beginning is. It's what is happening all the time. It is doors or windows unlatching, allowing movement. It is the potential all around us. It is the availability of that potential. But this is not necessarily a pleasant experience. It can be terrifying, it can be painful. And so, a sweet beginning, a sweet moment, is one that we somehow open up to, possibly even embrace, fears and all. I, for one, think I've more than internalized that I am dust and ashes. Now, it's time for me to focus on the world was created for me. Because it is, and that is a sweet beginning. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova, everybody. Oh, I'm David Kilimnick. Hello. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Put your hands together for David Kilimnick, everybody. Thank you. I just hope that this coming Shabbat or Sukkot time, next time I'm sitting at a Shabbat table with you, that none of you bring up the question of, please, can everybody share a sweet beginning? Because that would really piss me off. Thank you for not doing that.
Or just not inviting me.
Or just don't invite me. I'm sorry. I don't mean to kill the mood. I really don't, but if any of you guys have your little Aliyah inspirational stories, I don't want to hear it. It really just bothers me. I'm sorry. I don't like sitting at the Shabbos table hearing you guys talking. Oh, it was the most... And the bus stopped at the bus stop. Only in Israel. Buses stop at bus stops. And then he proceeded to go the wrong way down a one-way street. And a cab was coming in the totally opposite direction. And in unison, the bus driver and the cab driver stopped to show solidarity. Only in Israel. And then a girl screamed out, Ishli pee-pee, only in Israel. The older women scream out that they have to go to the bathroom, and they have to go to the bathroom in public, only in Israel. And then the bus driver started to pee out the window, only in Israel. I want before I read this, I just want to note that it was an inspiration from the last time. This thing was an inspiration from the last time that I read here, and I want to thank David for the environment of making me feel like poetry is actually something worth it. I didn't even know. I really didn't even know. And Deena, thank you for putting this. This is called David Kilimnick's collection of poetic poetry, odes of brilliant songs of love for Israel, Jews, and art. I still have not memorized the title, but it's an inspiration. And so thank you. I want to say thank you. And this is called The Sweetest Thing by David Kilimnick. You were the sweetest thing the first time we met, you heartless beast. Thank you. Thank you.
About the end of the poem?
Yeah, that was it. Now, Rosh Hashanah was just upon us. Can I read? I'm going to read three poems. I don't mean to keep you all too long. But this poem is a really dear one to me. It's called Rosh Hashanah. Irresolute, I will eat fruit. I will stay till the end of the day. Stay in the day, Rob. I will say no to the date. I will put on weight. I will eat cake. Irresolute. The cake will have fruit. Irresolute. Absolute. This year, I will wear a suit. Irresolute. Thank you. I know that was... I didn't mean for it to be that deep, but I did that, and even I took poetic license and used the word absolute.
It was very easy.
Thank you, thank you. And for the last poem, I know this is quite brilliant. I understand, and I know you're not used to such revelation. But a lot of times, if I may say, when we go through our beginnings, we forget the past. And I'm going to take that license and do what many poets do and bridge the Bible with what we have now, which is exactly. This poem is called Imeshkachech Yerushalayim. If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, woe to thee who hast forgotten. If I forget thee, O thy Ben Yehuda, may I forget thee, O thy yeshiva student from Long Island. Whoa! Whoa! Woe to thee who hast forgotten. Woe! Woe to thee who hast forgotteneth thy Russian compound. If I forget thee, O thy Russian compound. Whoa! Whoa! Woe to thee who hast forgotten thy green upchuck. Whoa! Woe to thee who hast forgotten. Whoa! The security at thy central bus station. Woe to thee who hast forgotten. Whoa! Whoa! May I miss thy bus by half an hour. Whoa! Whoa! Woe to thee who hast forgotten thy can't stand. Whoa! 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 To thee who hast forgotten, may thou end up in thy man showering for decent exchange rates. Whoa! 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 To thee who hast forgotten it. Whoa! Thank you. Thank you for the inspiration. You guys are so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, that's one way to finish the evening. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Please stick around, hang out, and I'll come around and talk to you guys. And wishing you all a Shana Tova Mitukva, a sweet new year. Thank you.